and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about the mental change. We will.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I am so excited that you could join us today. We are going to be having a wonderful conversation talking about working with pendulums for clarity, wisdom, and guidance. And some of you might think, ooh, that's a little far stretched. But any way that we can bring comfort to those who are diagnosed or those that are caring is important. And this can come into play in a lot of different ways, tied into meditation and things. And we are open to all alternatives here on Alzheimer's Speaks, because what's good for one person might not be good for another. So keep an open mind, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. But before I introduce you to our guests, I want to give a shout out to Artist Senior Living in Woodbury. I'm going to be out there doing a talk for them on Betty the Bald Chicken Lessons in How to Care, which is about my children's book, which really can be used for all ages and stages of life. Dinner and registration will be 4:30 to 5, and then the presentation will run 5 to 6. And you can call Jana and register at 651-493-2840. And then if you're in Texas, I'm going to be down in Amarillo celebrating the 17th Caregiver Conference with the Area Agency on Aging. It'll be November 10th. It'll be a full day program. So come and join us. You can call them to register at 806-331-2227. That's 806-331-2207. And of course, I always encourage everyone to go visit alzheimersspeaks.com. We have one whole tab that is just loaded with free educational resources. So if you have somebody living with dementia who might want to be part of our Dementia Chats expert panel, or if they are living with dementia and do art, we have our Arts in Dementia. You could possibly be part of our radio show. Everyone is welcome here as long as we have a respectful conversation. So reach out to me at radio@alzheimersspeaks.com, or you can just communicate with me through the website, alzheimersspeaks.com. And then, of course, there's Dementia Map, our global resource directory, where you can find all kinds of information and products, resources, and tools that you didn't know about before. So check them all out. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest today. Well, ladies, I am so excited to have you with us today. I was thrilled when I met you not too long ago at a little fair. And to me, it was just the stars were lined up, because you're just so pleasant, so knowledgeable, and so helpful and kind. And you provide a lot of different things to people. So thank you both, Lana and Karina, for taking time to be with us today. I'm going to have each of you introduce yourselves. So Lana, if you'd go first, please.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you so much for having us, Lori. We're honored to be here. We think that this, what you're doing is just so magnificent and so important. So thank you for having us here. I'm Lana Gendlin Brooks, and I'm a certified life coach, as well as I like to call myself a creative wellness expert, because I truly believe that we are all innately creative. And when we learn how to tap into our creativity, as well as our intuition, that's when we can really make magic happen and bring our ideas and products to market faster. So I'm a co-founder of Centric. We have a coaching collective and the Divine Creations with Karina here. And I'm from Minneapolis, grew up here, and I have a 14-year-old and a wonderful fiance and one husky. That's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Karina, you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Lori. So delighted to be here. What a pleasure, and just grateful for making this beautiful connection. And we're just so in awe of what you do, and we're just delighted to be part of this. I'm Karina Muller, and I am also a certified life coach. Lana and I met when we were both getting certified, and we decided to join forces and create Centric, where we are both coaches and we're part of a collaborative, as well as Heart-Centric Divine Creations. And this is the business where we create and sell spiritual jewelry, particularly pendulums. And our mission is to help people connect to their intuition with the help of a pendulum. And what we also do is we coach people on how to use the pendulum to really live their best life. So we do coach with the pendulum, we do coach without the pendulum, but at the core of all of that is tapping into your intuition for guidance, clarity, joy, wisdom, all the things. And in addition to that, I'm also a consultant. I've been consulting for a decade and a half in the marketing and strategy space, and I'm also an executive coach. So that is a little bit about me, and we are just, again, so excited to be part of this. Thank you.
Well, for some of you, you might be, a little like a pendulum, spirituality, what's going on here? I'm not sure this is a fit for me. Stay with us, because I think you will be pleasantly surprised. For myself, my intuition saved my butt multiple times on my caring journey and just throughout my life. And it's given me a calmness and an insight and a comfort that I don't think really existed before I tapped into that. And some people think this is can be satanic, and it's just not at all. And you're going to see that through our conversation today and really build on what these two ladies, the knowledge that they have and their ability as coaches to help you process things, I think is going to be really eye-opening and beneficial. So push out any of those stigmas. We do that with dementia. We don't like that they exist. Open up the door, look at another avenue that could help you here. So Lana, I'm gonna start out and ask you, you're both certified life coaches, which is a huge process to go through. And you work on empowering people, to live their best lives. So why don't you tell people, what was your training like? And then how do you actually help people do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Life coaching and transformational coaching is really this experience. When both Karina and I were going through our certification, we went through a school here in town called Learning Journeys International School of Coaching. It's ICF accredited, so International Coaching Federation. And this program was designed for you to go through the process as you are learning. So it really was a transformational experience for me. It kind of took me to places that I had never been before, quite frankly. It really forces you to dig deep inside of yourself and look within. And so when Karina and I started working with pendulums, and we can tell you the story if you're interested, because it's kind of fun, and how we just discovered all of this. We really realized that the pendulum is this perfect tool to help you tap into your intuition and extract what's buried deep inside of you. And we were, the way that we coach, it's under the philosophy that you have all the answers inside of you. Nobody knows what's best for you better than you. Not your friends, not your family. You have the answers inside, and your subconscious is this really powerful repository of all of your experiences, everything you've learned, everything you've seen, everything that you've absorbed, your feelings and emotions. And so the pendulum is this tool that helps you extract what's buried in your subconscious. And so when we put that together in our coaching practice, we had this aha moment, which, when we coach somebody and they have a breakthrough, they have that aha moment. That's why we do this work, because watching somebody really figure it out for themselves is really an amazing experience.
Wonderful. So for helping someone, do you meet in person? Do you meet by Zoom? I mean, everything's changed since COVID
Yeah.
these days. How does the process work?
Yeah, we definitely meet in person. And doing this kind of work in person is really, it's just magical. There's no other way to put it. We feel very fortunate and grateful that this is the work that we get to do. But we certainly do this over Zoom as well, and that can be just as powerful and impactful. So both.
Okay, great. So, Karina, I'm going to ask you one, if you want to add anything to that first. And then second, if you can tell people, what is a pendulum?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Lana, that was very well put. It is really, truly all about helping source the answers within. And when you go within for answers, you are so much more likely to act on those answers than if somebody is giving you advice. Because when we already have everything that we need inside of us. And when we tap into the power of our subconscious mind, we uncover a gold mine of information. Because if we think about our conscious versus subconscious, our conscious mind is like that tip of the iceberg. It's that 5% above water. And the subconscious is everything that's underneath. It's that 95%. And it stores everything that we've ever experienced, everything we learned in school, every book we read, every show we watched, every emotion that we felt, everything is there. And that wealth of information is available to us and can be tapped into for guidance on decisions, big and small. So it's hard to do that because our conscious mind is a big bottleneck, and it keeps us from effectively tapping in to all of the information that's available in our subconscious. It can't really process everything, but we can do it. We can get there. We can do this energetically. And that is where pendulums come in. And a pendulum, and I will show you, this is my pendulum right here. And a pendulum is an energetic tool that works with you. It works with your body's energy, and it helps you tap in to that subconscious, to all the information that is already within. The first thing you would do is you would calibrate your pendulum to see how it moves with you energetically. And what you calibrate it for is to see how it moves with your energy for your yes movement and for your no movement. And if you're curious, we can show you how to do that. And once we understand our yes and no movements, then we can tap within ourselves to really truly go there for guidance. So whether it's small everyday decisions or big things, whether it's like, is it optimal for me to order pizza for dinner tonight? Not a big decision, but yeah, a decision. Or is it a good idea for me to sell my place and move to Arizona because I'm sick of the winter? That's a bigger decision. And what we always recommend is start small. When you start with the smaller scale type decisions and you get the guidance and you act on this guidance, that's when you start building this intuitive muscle, because you start becoming so confident in your intuition and the way that it's guiding you, and you start noticing how your life begins to flow. That is when the magic starts to happen.
Well, and I totally agree with you on starting small, because you don't want to start in the middle of a crisis because you're not thinking straight, you're not processing straight. And I just have to show my pendulum as well. I love this. I bought one for myself and one for my daughter. I met these two ladies, like I said, at a fair that Echo Bodine does here locally, and I had brought in my old pendulum, which was just a little pewter, not pretty, but I loved it, and I had broken it, and they fixed it for nothing for me, and I just walked out of there. We chatted for so long because you are so interesting and comfortable in terms of the work that you do and why you do it, and even the jewels that you have on these pendulums all have meaning to them and can help you for different things. So there's just so much to go into. Why don't you show us how to calibrate a pendulum? I think that would be really interesting for people to know.
Yeah. So we have, as Lori mentioned, many different pendulums, and each one of ours is unique. Anything weighted on a string can be a pendulum. So it's going to move with your energy for your yes and your no. We believe that you should love your pendulum because you really want to establish a bond with it. And that's why we use different gemstones and crystals that have different healing properties. So the way that you would calibrate a pendulum to learn what your yes and your no is you simply hold it in your dominant hand, and you can hold it by the top. You can drape it over your finger like this. You can hold it with your thumb and middle finger, whatever is comfortable for you. You would want to maybe rest your elbow on a table or something that allows you to stabilize your hand and your arm. You're not going to move your arm at all. You are just going to sit still, and you're going to want to try to get grounded and just ask your pendulum to show you a yes. So I'm just going to say, please show me a yes. And can everybody, I hope you can see this. Yep. For me, my yes is always back and forth. And your yes and your no is going to be individual to you. So see, it's moving back and forth. Then I'm just going to say, please show me a no, and watch what happens. It changes direction and it starts moving side to side. I'm going to hold it like this because that's how I normally hold it. So I'm just going to say, please show me a yes. Please show me a no. See how it just changes? And again, your yes and your no will probably be different than mine. Like Karina's is a circle for yes, and I think it's back and forth for no. So there can be different kinds of movements, either a clockwise circle, a counterclockwise circle, a front and back motion, a side to side. It could just sit still and hang there. So once you figure out your yes and your no, we recommend starting with something really simple just to confirm what your yes and your no movements are. So you could say something like, is my name Lana? Yes, it is. Do I have 3 sisters? No, I don't. Is it a beautiful sunny day? Yes, it is. It is here at least. Is it snowing outside? No, it's not. So, obviously you're not going to ask it about the weather and what your name is, but that is how you would calibrate your pendulum to learn what is your individual yes and what is your individual no. And once you're very comfortable with that, then you can start going into some deeper questions. Anything you're curious about, anything you need guidance on, or if you want clarity around something. And we can talk a little bit more too about the art of asking the question, because that's important as well.
For me, I always find when my pendulum is going in circles, I feel like it's either clearing me out or it's opening me up, and it's weird. My body, I can tell the difference when it's doing both of those. Does that sound crazy or not?
Oh, not at all. Now there are multiple energy healing practices that we work with. And one of the opportunities here is just to calibrate your pendulum for energy clearing. And you do it the same way you calibrated for yes and for no. So when I use my pendulum for energy clearing, all I do is just say, show me my energy clearing movement. And mine is a counterclockwise circle.
And that's really typical for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Counterclockwise will remove negative or stagnant energy.
Yeah. And one of the ways that we work with this modality on a regular basis is we check the chakra system. And if our client has any issues or imbalances within their chakras, this is one way to actually open up their chakras and allow the energy to really flow up and down their chakra system with ease. And that is a great way to just release any trapped emotions. And really, it leads to just a very healthy, everyday way of being. So that's one of the modalities. We have several that we use on a regular basis. It's really all about figuring out what your trapped energies are, what your trapped emotions are, and releasing them, because keeping them in our bodies does not serve us in any way.
Well, and those negative things can cause illness. It can cause pain. And can you guys, one of you, share what chakras are? Because not everybody listening, they might not be familiar with that term, or where they're located, or what they do and why they're important.
Sure. Yeah. So the chakra system are they're your energy centers in your body, and they run up and down from the base of your spine to right above your head. And there are actually 12 chakras, but we're not going to go into those. Most commonly, people are familiar with the 7 chakras. Chakra is a Sanskrit word for wheel. So when you think about these, they're like spinning wheels in your body. They are your energy centers. So at the base of this line of chakras, you can think about them kind of as like your spiritual batteries. And when they're operating optimally, you're going to feel really good, just like you do like when you have optimal battery charge, right? And when they're depleted or out of balance or out of whack, which for most of us, we have any amount of chakras that are always out of whack because we're human, you're going to feel a little more run down, or, again, like imbalanced, or maybe, feeling some kind of sadness or whatnot. So at the base, your first chakra is your root chakra, and that is represented by the color red. And the red chakra, the base chakra, is all about your sense of like security, your overall well-being, how you see yourself in the world as far as your security level. Then moving up to your sacral chakra, that's a little below your navel, probably 2 to 3 inches below your navel. That's represented by the color orange. And that's a center that you would look to for your sense of creativity, sexuality, sensuality. Moving up to your solar plexus, that's represented by yellow. That is where you get your sense of willpower and just, empowerment in general, your confidence. Then you move up to your heart chakra, which I think most people are familiar with, but this is really your center of love and compassion and connectedness, and that is represented by the color green. Then you move on to your throat chakra, which is going to be right here, and that's represented by the color blue. And your throat chakra is all about your sense of communication and how you speak your truth. Then you move up to your third eye, which is located here between your eyebrows. And your third eye is represented by the color indigo. And it's all about your ability to really connect up and manifestation and spirituality. And then finally, your crown chakra is just a little above your head. And that's represented by the color purple. And that is all about how you connect to source or God or, the universe, whatever term resonates with you. It's really your sense of a higher purpose. So those are the 7 main chakras that run up and down the center of your body, your energetic batteries.
Okay, great. Do you guys do anything with like healing touch? I know like when I go over a body, I can feel the energy level, if it's there, I can tell if it's good or bad, or if there's pain, and people are kind of surprised. And I'm kind of surprised I could do that too. But again, it's just, I think, slowing down and paying attention to different things. And I've just found this whole piece just so fascinating with the healing energy and the power that we have within us. And so do you guys do anything with that too in your coaching, or?
We do not necessarily work with healing touch. We do work extensively with emotion code. Are you familiar with emotion code?
No,
Well, and this again, a pendulum is a great tool to work with emotion code. And this system was developed by a chiropractor. His name is Dr. Bradley Nelson. He's also the developer of the body code as well. And the system is based on the premise that we are holding on to emotional trauma, to trapped emotions within our body. And these emotions could have resided in our body from, it could have gone back to childhood. It could have been, traumatic birth, whatever it is. But because they are trapped in our bodies, they could potentially manifest themselves as illness, as disease, as sorrow, in so many different ways. And this system is designed to quickly identify that root cause, that trapped emotion. And we do this work with a pendulum. Dr. Nelson developed a very, very simple chart when you work with your pendulum to identify what that trapped emotion is. And once we identify that trapped emotion that's causing a certain condition, what we do is we use the pendulum to release that emotion with our clearing technique, as I showed you earlier. You release that emotion from your energetic body, and then you just basically lock in that empty space with love and light. And the results are really powerful because, it's daily work, but we all have so much repressed and trapped emotions within us. It's not serving us to hang on to them, but it's just really like shedding so many layers of ourselves and really stepping into our healthiest, most powerful, joyous existence when we let go of all of the negativity that is not serving us.
Well, and that can be so helpful for anybody dealing with a chronic illness, for the person with the diagnosis to the care partner, because so often we try to hide our emotions. We're supposed to be handling this, or we don't vent and things bubble up, and then we've all snapped on somebody who didn't deserve it because it just couldn't be held in our body any longer. Or we've known people who have gotten very ill themselves because their body's not, and this is my belief, I'm by far a professional in any of this stuff, but because of that stuff's been trapped in the body, and I think it just gnaws at it. And I've seen that over and over and over again. And there's a statistic out there that is referred to a lot, and I honestly don't remember the number, but it's a very high number of care partners that end up getting sick and passing before the person they're caring for, because they're not caring for themselves anymore. And so I think for us being emotionally balanced, we always say when we are healthy, we can care better. When you're exhausted and you're tired and you're frustrated, you're going to snap. I mean, that's just what we do. We're in overload. So trying to find that balance is really, really important for so many. If you are just tuning in right now, we are talking with the founders of Centric Divine Creations. Lana and Karina are both life coaches, and they are, working on healing energies, utilizing pendulums. They're pendulums. And one of the things I wanted to make sure that we talk about in here is your necklace pendulum, but I do want to give people your website here first, which is hcdivinecreations.com. That's hcdivinecreations.com. And if you want to email them, it's just info@heartcentriccoaching.com. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Lovely, lovely gals. So do you guys by chance have one of your pendulum necklaces? Because I've never seen one of these before, and I think they are just absolutely magical.
Well, Lori, thank you. You're in luck because we happen to have one right here. Yeah, so this is called a pendulase, which we've trademarked. And again, each one is very unique. And how this works is you would be wearing it, and when you needed to make a decision or just needed some guidance, you simply unsnap one side here, and then it turns into your pendulum. So then, like if you're at the restaurant and you cannot decide between a Bloody Mary and a mimosa, these come in handy like nothing else.
Well, and it looks like you can change them out too.
Yeah. So all of our designs, so this one happens to open too, which is kind of cool. It has this chamber. You could, write a little intention if you're trying to manifest something, throw that in there. And then all of our designs are interchangeable. So this just snaps off. And if you wanted to work with, let's say a different crystal, like this one here I have is Amazonite. And, crystals and gemstones all have their own healing properties, which is really nice for doing energy work or any kind of clearing. So then, you can just change it out.
Oh, very cool. That's one of the things that I loved about when I got my pendulum. Comes in this nice little bag, and then, it has the name of what it is. And then you have these little cards in there. I know you can't see these really well, but it says the name of the type of stones and stuff. It gives you an angel number with it. Of course, your card is in there. And there's another one. It says curious about deepening your pendulum work, so there's more information in terms of getting a hold of you guys and working with you on this. And again, I just feel like it's protected. And it's not going to get tangled up because it's got its own little pocket, and I know exactly where to find it. So they're absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, I've never seen anything as beautiful, and they're all so individualized. And so when I was meeting with these two, I was playing with them all, seeing which ones were reacting to me and not. And that is something you'll find your body does. Some it'll be a match, and some you'll go, nope, not so much. And so I actually, used my pendulum to figure out which one should I get for myself and which one should I get for my daughter, which was kind of fun to do there. So I want to ask, in terms of pendulum work, Karina, how, we've touched on this a little bit, but how can, doing pendulum work really help you live your best life? I mean, because everyone's not going to want to be pulling this up with every question 10,000 times a day in terms of what they should do. So what's the best way to work with a pendulum? Is there a best way, or is it customized to everyone?
That's a great question. I think it's really about establishing your own pendulum practice that works for you. I'll give you some ideas of what works well for me. And I do this every single morning. So when I get up and when I'm at my desk, I sit down and I think about what I need to do, and I make out my to-do list. And when I have my list ready to go, I actually work with my pendulum to figure out which items on my to-do list are critical path for today, what must get done and what doesn't really need to get done. And usually my list goes like from 10 items to about 5 items. And then I use the pendulum to help me prioritize the order of how I should tackle my list. And I'll tell you what, every single time I do this, and I know this when I don't have time to do it, my day is just not flowing as well as it does when I actually tap in intuitively and plan my day that way. Because when I tap in, I get so much more done and my day just flows, and it's just so much easier. And additionally, another way that, I use my practice is perhaps in the evening time when you need to just calm yourself down, calm down your mind, just, really have some moments to yourself in a, more of a self-care type way. A great thing to do is just to close the door, light a candle, and take a few minutes to just think about what are your key questions that you want to answer for yourself that particular day, and plan out your pendulum session, and then pick up your pendulum and really spend that time connecting to your own heart center and identifying all the guidance that is already available inside of you. So it's a very meditative practice. There's a lot of health benefits because when you are kind of taking a few moments for self-care, kind of shutting out the world, it's just between you and your pendulum, everything around you just sort of melts away. So it is very similar to a meditation practice. It's in a way a type of meditation practice. So just a really wonderful way of quieting your mind while still going inside of your heart center for guidance and clarity.
Well, I love using it for prioritizing. I have not done that, but man, I need to, because I feel like a scrambled mess these days with way too many things to do, and I get overwhelmed. And I know when I was caring for my mom, 30 years with her dementia, my dad with brain cancer, and still working full time, being a mom, doing the volunteer stuff, because we don't give anything up. We need help prioritizing and getting rid of that guilt, and so that we can focus and really do a good job. So I'm going to start that practice. I know for myself, I do it at night to help me either release or ask for help and guidance while I'm sleeping. And it's amazing some of the stuff that's been channeled to me over the years. And this isn't recent, but it's recent to the public, was the book that we just launched, Betty the Bald Chicken, Lessons in How You Care. I mean, that totally was just like downloaded to me or uploaded from within me. I don't know, whichever way you want to call it there. And, it was really simple. It was just and it was so clear, or being really in tune with the messages that we have instead of pushing that intuition away, I think is beautiful. And I'm going to share one story with my audience just to kind of hit this home. When my mom moved to the lowest functioning unit in her nursing home, it was really difficult. And our whole family was feeling really guilty, and it was really sad. But we knew she needed to be there to get the best care because she needed a 2-person transfer. But yet she was still really social, and we thought, she's not going to get that socialization on this floor because most people aren't. And so when I went to visit her after they switched rooms, I remember standing outside the room, and my mom is screaming at the top of her lungs at the staff. And she's swearing like a sailor because she's lost all her filters. And they are trying to get her up in this Hoyer lift. And so they're just asking her, there's 2 of them inside the door, I can hear them, and they're like, Dorothy, we just need to get you up. We're going to take you down for lunch. You're going to be with your friends in no time. We just need you to bend your knees, keep your arms straight. We're going to push this button. And they just kept ping-ponging back really calmly and nicely. And my mom's just like ripping them to shreds. I'm standing outside the door, sobbing hysterically. My stomach is hurting. I can feel her pain and her fear of what is going on because she's not understanding anything. And I remember just praying to God, help me, help her. She doesn't deserve this. This isn't fair. And I remember opening up the door, and nobody even knew that I came into the room because the staff were focused on her. And I saw my mom. She was laying kind of crossway in the bed, and they had these like bands around her wrist to help pull her up. And she wasn't laying flat on the bed. And so she was just in this uncomfortable mode, and her feet were kicked out, and she's just screaming at him like a wet hen. And her face is beet red, and you could just see how scared she was on top of being angry. And I was still just kind of wiping tears from my eyes. And I remember literally feeling this arm reach around my shoulder and just give me this hug. And I heard my dad whisper in my ear, Lori, ask her to go water skiing. And I looked at the bed next to my mom and thought, I'm having a nervous breakdown. My dad's been dead for years. This is not happening. I'm losing it. And then this calmness came over me and just said, Lori, just try it. You have nothing to lose. So I walk up to my mom, and I'm at the end of her bed, and she's facing the staff, and I'm facing her this way. And I said, Mom, do you want to go water skiing? And she turns to me and she just has this big, brilliant smile on her face. And she goes, well, sure. And I said, okay. I said, then knees bent, arms straight. And I said, hit it. And the staff pushed the button. And every time I tell this story, I hear the hum of the machine and I can visualize my mom being pulled up by this machine. But my mom's hands were like holding a tow rope, even though she was being pulled up really by her wrist. In her mind, she was holding this tow rope. And that changed everything for months with her. And the reason it worked was my dad taught everybody in my family and neighbors and friends how to water ski. And there were 3 commands: knees bent, arms straight, and then yell, hit it when you're ready to go. And she remembered that, and it gave her this great comfort. It gave us the ability to talk and reminisce. If I'd ask her, what have you been doing today? Oh, I went water skiing. Well, did you slalom? Did you drop one? Did you spray? Did you go off the dock? Did you go barefoot? We had all our little terms, and none of it was real in today's reality, but it was in her reality. And they were just such precious moments. And I'm so thankful that I didn't ignore my intuition and that I listened to it. And I think it can help us in so many ways, even when it seems crazy and just left field. I mean, you have nothing to lose. No one's going to get hurt or anything. And so I just wanted to share that story because I think it's important for people to try different things to see what will help them, because we never know what will resonate. And do you see with your coaching clients that they kind of have a barrier, like, no, I can't do that, or this doesn't, this is in conflict with my religion, or do those types of things come up with some people?
I think when we get to the point where we're coaching with somebody and using a pendulum, you have to be open to it, because our minds are very powerful, right? And so if we're not open to it, it's not going to work. So there's that piece of it. But I wanted to just kind of hit on that story that you told is so fabulous in so many ways. But, for you, Lori, you acted on your intuition. You didn't ignore that voice inside of you. And that is the reason we do what we do. The pendulum, this is just a tool. Yes, it's a beautiful, people think it's a piece of jewelry, and it is. It's spiritual jewelry, but it's really a tool to help you access your intuition and then listen to it. Because when you listen to your intuition and what your gut is telling you, it doesn't lead you in the wrong direction. And you did it, you tried it, and look at what happened. And on the flip side of that, the pendulum can really help strengthen your intuition. I mean, that's what it's designed for. So if when we just begin coaching with clients, it's really a tool that you use to it's like a muscle. Your intuition is like a muscle, and the more you work with it and the more you listen to it, the stronger it gets. And so the pendulum is really a quick and visual way for anybody, even if you're dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, to tap into what's buried deep inside of them and bring it to the surface visually and quickly, where they get an answer that they can see. So with our coaching clients, they're open to it, and it's just a wonderful way to really kind of confirm what they're thinking or what they're feeling, or the decisions that they're making, or the learnings that they're getting. So I don't know, Karina, do you want to add anything?
And just to build on what Lana just said, it's about giving your intuition a voice. That's really what a pendulum can do. It just gives your intuition a voice. It can confirm what it is that you're already believing. Like if you have gut feelings about something, you could just sit with your pendulum and really extract what it is that's going on. And, the beauty really truly shows up is when you act on the guidance that you receive. When you were telling us your story, Lori, you did not hesitate to act on the guidance that you were given at that moment. And when we are brave enough to take action, as well as observe the shifts that are occurring as a result of the action you've taken. It's all about watching how your life starts transforming and how your day, your month, your world really starts beginning to flow rather than you pushing water uphill. You're just flowing with it.
You're more in alignment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're not saying it's going to be easy, but what we can say is that there's going to be less trial and error. It's about really like pushing your conscious mind aside for a second, tapping into the subconscious, listening and acting on it.
Well, and I like that because so often, our mind gets taken over by our inner critic that it tells us everything we're doing wrong and makes us feel like a schmuck and stuff. And one of the things that I think can really help care partners, because I hear this all the time, is like, oh gosh, I have to make all these decisions alone now, especially if they're caring for a spouse. And it's overwhelming because they used to do it as a team. And so I think utilizing a pendulum can make you feel like you're not alone. And you can view it as coming from within yourself. Some people say it's coming from the God they believe in terms of support to them. But it's just, it eases the burden. Big or small, and you can have fun with it as well. But I think taking away that loneliness and that overwhelm that people feel and getting a confidence and a comfort back, that's a huge gift, especially on a long journey of caring. Can be really draining. But this is something you can use not just for your dementia journey, but throughout your whole life. And that's what I love about the people I interview. I always say what's good for dementia is good for all of the world. And we can use it at all different levels. And so even my grandkids will come up sometimes and play with my pendulum and go, can I ask a question? And it's like, yeah, you can do that, and, they're not scared of it. And it's just very, very interesting. So, Karina, how do people get a hold of you to work with you? And I should probably ask first, who is the best match to come and see you?
Hey, the people that come across us or seek us out are the ones that are ready to go within, ready to dig in, ready to do some work, and ready to heal. Mm-hmm. So when you're open to the healing, you are going to really feel the shift pretty quickly. You're going to feel that level of relief. You're going to feel that self-empowerment, step in to that place of, gosh, I am really firm in my decision-making, in my truth. I know where I stand. So those are the people that are just, if you're ready for your life to shift, come talk to us. And the easiest way to get a hold of us is just to email us at info@heartcentriccoaching.com.
Lana, anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, other than, kind of going back to one of your other questions, Lori, if anyone's hesitant about a pendulum, pendulums are ancient tools that have actually been around for thousands of years. And so many people don't know about them or how to use them, or that you can use them for healing. So I just wanted to leave, your listeners and the viewers with that message. There's nothing religious about them. There's nothing scary about them. Working with any kind of energy work is all about your intentions and the intention that you put into it. So have positive intentions of love and light. And these little tools can just do wonder for you. Karina and I are just on a mission to bring these back to the mainstream, or to bring them to the limelight, because again, we believe so much and we're so passionate about these tools for healing. And so we're just on a mission to help people understand what they're all about. And there's nothing scary about them. So anybody who's ready to try it, we'd love to chat with you.
And you guys have a book coming out next year too, which is going to be loaded with great information. Do you have a working title for that yet, or?
Yeah, we do. It's called Pendulums and Intuition, Practical Advice for Trusting Your Inner Wisdom. And it is really a book about pendulums and how to apply them to your everyday life, kind of pendulums 101, what they are, how to use them, how to care for them, everything pendulums, and a lot of really great practical tips on how to use it.
How to ask the right questions.
Yep. The prioritization. There's so many things you can do with a pendulum. It's really endless. So this is just book number 1.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your wonderful work that you're doing. And I hope that our listeners will reach out to you. I know for me, I found it really beneficial. And again, every aspect or method or tool or practice isn't for anyone, but I do encourage people to explore, because sometimes you will be really surprised. And, I'll use the example of stigma in dementia again. So many people think people with dementia can't do art. And yet some of them have never done art in their life until dementia. And the work they're doing is unbelievable. So plow through some of those stigmas that you have and check it out. I found for me, initially when I started this, I didn't want to talk about it too much because it was kind of taboo-y, and I thought, what do people think? And I was actually really surprised that was a stigma in my head, and more people were open to learning about it and were, and maybe they hadn't reached out, but then they wanted to hear my experience, and then they reached out. And so, times are changing, and what we think other people are thinking isn't always correct. And so by sharing your story and your experience can help somebody else. So thank you for sharing your stories today, you two. In wrapping up, I just want to, again, encourage people to go to their website, hcdivinecreations.com, or email them directly at info@heartcentriccoaching.com. You can follow them again on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And, for our listeners, like always, be a giver of hope. Share this information. You have people in your sphere that are probably looking for information. And, we need to have all these resources, products, and tools bubble to the top so it's easily findable. So just take a second. It's not going to cost you any money. Like, click, and share. And just see what happens. Watch the magic happen. So again, thank you so much. This has just been such a blessing, and I'm so thrilled that I ran into you too. And I can't wait until your book comes out. Feel free to reach back to me when that hits the shelves, and maybe we can have you back on the show if you've got some time.
Oh, Lori, thank you so much.
Lori, we really loved it.
You're a beam of light. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the community. This is such important work, and we're just very, very grateful that we met you and that we're here with you right now and your listeners. So we want to thank you again for having us too.
Great. Thank you. Bye now. Hi, I'm Lori LeBay, and I wanted to tell you about Alzheimer's Speaks, which is another great podcast. You see, my own mother lived with dementia for 30 years, and I felt lost. Did you know every 3 seconds someone in the world is being diagnosed with dementia? Odds are it's going to hit your families too. We want to help you connect to services, products, tools, research, and stories so you can be prepared. Please subscribe to Alzheimer's Speaks on your favorite podcast platform.